found this out in the desert and I brought it home because it's a good example of, I get a lot of questions on dinosaur gem bone and what is the difference between the dinosaur gem bone and a fossil, and why we'll cut up dinosaur gem bone and make a cabochon or a bracelet or earrings out of it when it comes from a dinosaur. Why would we ever do that? When it comes down to fossils, why is it that I can't go pick up a fossil and why would I want to turn that into jewelry too? So this is not a fossil. This is a cow bone, but it's a really good example on what the gem bone versus a fossil is. So dinosaur is out stomping around. He's eating his stuff and he dies, falls down, he decays, just like everything does. Sometimes they fell down and right where they were, they got deposited with all their guts and their blood and everything right then and there in that soil, or the whatever it is that that dinosaur gets covered up with. Say it's tar or mud or volcanic ash or whatever. So when that dinosaur would decay down in this stuff, it would leave remnants of itself all over the dirt around it, the position it died in. There's a ton of information in the environment around the bones and the bones themselves. But what happens is they basically turn into this, which is just the calcium remnants of the bone. This part is the hard calcium layer of bone that we are very common known with. It's white. This looks like a bone. You can look at it and say, yes, that's a bone. So this outside part that's white and it's harder than the inside part here is the calcified bone. Inside is the marrow. So all of this would have been the marrow. It's bigger cells. This is where the blood is produced inside of us and animals and living things. And anyway, that's how big some of those cells can get inside the marrow. So now if this was to, say, decay out like this and then get covered up in another sediment and impact in, say, mud, and that mud had a lot of I'm just going to throw it out there. It's got a lot of I don't know, pick a mineral. So that mineral would replace this calcium, and dirt and stuff would fill in there, maybe some of that mineral, but this calcium would be basically replaced, for lack of a better way to describe it. And then we would see it, 250 million years later. It's sticking out of a rock. It looks like a rock. It feels like a rock. This does not feel like a rock. This feels like a bone because it is a bone. It's cows, I believe. So that's a fossil. We learn a lot from this because it is the animal. We learn a lot about what it's been replaced with. We learn a lot from the soil around it, the plants that got packed in around it too, along when that dinosaur died, where it was at. Give us a lot of information. So now, if this fossil, we'll pretend it's a fossil. This fossil, this dinosaur, this is as much of the bone as is really there, and it tumbles down a cliff and it lands in a different environment, a different mineral, and it sits there and it gets all encased in there, and say that mineral is agate, or agates are forming. Maybe this is in a solution that's got a lot of agate in it. So the agate starts to fill in all of these little cells. We find a lot of the gem bone still has the white, this would be called the webbing, cellular structure. So when I cut a dinosaur bone and I'm polishing it and I say, oh, this side has small cells, that is probably this type of bone. When I say these cells are really big, that is probably the marrow, the inside of the bone. And so this bone is sitting there in all that silica rich, mineral rich, whatever mineral it may be, copper, uranium, iron, Yeah, there's so many minerals in the dirt and the stuff from the volcanoes. So that stuff would settle in and fill in all these little holes, which would be just like the cracks in a rock where the banding from the agates would form. It would form in this, and this would turn to a piece of agate. Not along with the original dinosaur, not along in its original environment, not along with anything that they could study, because it's been replaced with so many different minerals and everything. It's a rock. It's an agate, and so it turns to this. This is an agatized piece of dinosaur bone that I've cut up. These cells that you can see are the same cells as right there. This has been filled in with agate, like that long one right there, is probably something very similar to these long ones. So if that agate formed in there, that's what it would look like 250 million years later. Bone? Yes. Rock? Yes. On the inside, I cross-sectioned it this way. If I look at it this way, I can see all the little cells. It would be just like looking at that. See them in there? And that. The long cells. Not a very good example of it, but they would be this way. Agatized. Not agatized. If this stayed just kind of like this and just this portion got remineralized, fossil. Gem bone. Here's a good example of the difference between this type of bone and the marrow and an agatized bone. So this chunk of dinosaur bone, you can actually see in the shape of it, this is like the top of one of the long bones. So it's rounded here, it's dished in here, like maybe like a ball and socket joint. You can tell in the shape of it that this is the outside of the bone. So this is going to be this part of the bone. So when I cross-sectioned it, took a slab off of it, see the calcified bone? That's that. See the marrow? That's that. This piece is not polished. When I polish it, the cellular structure really pops out. You can see it pretty good right here. You can see the whites that are in there too. It's really neat to me that this side filled in with some mineral that's black. These cells over here filled in with some mineral that's white. These cells here filled in with some mineral that's red. I know that's not showing up on the camera as red. These cells here, that is the difference probably in the layer of bone where the calcified bone starts turning into the marrow cells or something. That's dinosaur bone is, if you ask me, just the absolute neatest to work with.